Hello, welcome to World History. My name is Mr. Spalding, and I'm presenting this by video so that I can do so without wearing a mask. We are still in the midst of a global pandemic, so I wear my mask at all times in school, and I would encourage you, your students, to do the same. Properly wearing a mask and practicing proper hygiene is really important at all times, and especially at this time when our community's health depends on that and other measures. I would encourage you to click the link that's posted on the Welcome to Open House announcement so that you can register your participation and your student will get a little bit of extra credit today. My goal in the next few minutes is to introduce myself quickly, introduce this class, and my goals for your student, and after the video to allow a few minutes for questions. If you have individual questions related to your student, please email me or send me a remind by text, and I will respond to you individually. If you have general questions about the class, I'll be happy to answer those at the end of the period. So a little bit about me. I was born here in Connecticut. That is not me. That's some stock photo. My parents got divorced when I was in middle school, and I moved to California, about on the coast. I eventually ended up at the University of California at Santa Barbara. And yes, this is the campus, and yes, it is beautiful. After that, I taught elementary school in Santa Paula, California, and then I taught in southern India for about 6.5 years. That's where I met my wife, who was a mathematics teacher at the school. It was a school founded by British missionaries high in the mountains in South India, just adjacent to these beautiful gardens where I proposed to my wife. We moved back to the United States, and then many years later, lived and worked in South Korea with our family, teaching at an international school in the Silicon Valley of South Korea. Now, I and my family live here in Windsor. My 2 children attended Windsor High School. I firmly believe that your children can get a phenomenal education here at Windsor High School. This is a great place with lots of opportunities. It is everything that a school can be if you make it that. So I'm going to introduce the 2 classes that I teach. I teach early global studies at the college and high honors level. We start off semester 1 looking at the Mediterranean, African, Asian, and European roots. Semester 2, we focus on the Renaissance, Reformation, revolutions, and research. That's a research paper project. In the AP World History class, that's a 10th grade class. The first semester, we start out with industrialization and the antecedents to industrialization going back to the 1200s, leading us up into the 19th century. Semester 2, we focus on the 20th and 21st century world, and then that brings us to the AP exam, May 10th next year, and then a final project. The AP World History class is intended to be a college level class. We use a college level textbook that's required by the College Board. They don't require this specific book, but they require any college level textbook. It moves along very quickly, and the grading is very strongly related to written products and the mastery of source materials. So it's a very fast-paced course. It's fast-paced out of necessity. The material that's required by the College Board is substantial, and so that requires we move along at a fairly fast clip. I'd like to introduce a little bit of information about my class. Most information about the class is found on Google Classroom. I also will be providing additional materials, but all materials will be posted on Google Classroom. There is a section in Google Classroom that offers information about the class, grading policies, and other useful information that your students can show you. I will not be providing very much paper this year because, once again, we are in the midst of a pandemic, so we need to be careful about how much material we exchange. So, additional class information. I'm going to review assignments and grading, my 4 long-term goals for your student, how you can contact me, and what you can do to help. First, the department grading policy. Each quarter, students receive a grade. Those 2 quarter grades are combined with a semester exam, and that becomes the semester grade. The only grade that goes in the student's transcript is the semester grade. But each quarter is composed of practice and assessment. Practice work is 20%. That includes homework, most homework, classwork, exit slips, assignments that are graded not so much for mastery, but for practice. For this kind of work, there is no retakes or late work. If a student's sick or absent, and it's excused absence, then of course they can turn it in late. It's not counted late. But if you're in class that day, if you were there for that assignment, or if you were had for any other reason, unexcused absence, there is no retakes or no late work. For assessments, that's 80% of the grade. Quizzes, essays, projects, research papers, these assignments are graded for mastery, and retakes and late work may be allowed. There are a set of requirements in order to have an assignment be allowed for a retake, and those are provided on a separate handout, which is posted on Google Classroom. In general, most retakes are receive a 10% penalty, but it varies according to the retake. Anything that's retaken must be retaken after communication with the teacher by the student. That's in order so the student actually knows what they need to do so they can do better on an assignment. Sometimes I will require a student to do something again. If I require a student to do something again, I will not penalize them for turning it in at a later time. So there will be times when I require a student to rewrite something or to redo something. That won't be penalized, and that won't be counted late. Tests, timed essays, or presentations will not be retaken and are not allowed late. These are department policies. There's not my policies. So there's not much flexibility here. All right. Once again, if I ask a student to resubmit something, that's not an option. It's not a choice. It means that they should redo it, and that I have given them directions on what to do to improve it. Particularly in the AP class, I will require sometimes essays to be resubmitted. The student will always earn the higher grade if they resubmit it, and the point of doing that is to help them have the opportunity to practice what I'm teaching so they can improve. So my short-term goal is to help your son or daughter succeed as a student. But my long-term goal can be summarized by these 4 statements. You may have seen these in the material I sent home earlier. My first goal is to have students furnish their mind, to develop a sophisticated academic vocabulary, to transform their mind, develop a mature and nuanced ways of thinking, and to become more charitable, to apply this knowledge and thought to love for others. And then finally, to extend themselves to excel, to challenge themselves. First, furnishing the mind. The results that we're looking for is that students will be able to more precisely express themselves and to think in a more sophisticated way. Transforming the mind means developing mature and nuanced ways of thinking, with the result being that students gain new ways of viewing the world and new patterns of thought and action. It's not simply enough to know more, you have to know how to think in new ways. Thirdly, become more charitable, become more loving, in other words. Result here is that students can apply knowledge and thought to being loving men and women in this world. And don't we need that now? And then finally, actually, I'm sorry. In the words of a ancient teacher, if I have not charity, if love does not flow from me, I am nothing. This is actually the most important of the four goals. And finally, it's to seek excellence, to extend yourself. Students who learn to get up when they fall down and learn to accept responsible challenges learn the joy of excellence. So my hope for you is to furnish your mind, transform your mind, become more charitable, and extend to excel, to challenge yourself. Contact me through email, Ms. W. Spalding at windsorct.org, through the school phone, although phone is less reliable, that's the hardest way to reach me, or through the Remind text service. That goes to my computer, so if I don't reply right away, please be patient. How can you help? Well, please read the syllabus. Please regularly ask for your son or daughter to share what they're learning and how they're growing. And finally, encourage them not to multitask when working on classwork, not to use their phones or social media or video audio engagement. And please contact me if you have any questions as the year progresses. Thank you for joining us today, and we're looking forward to being in touch with you as the year goes on.